Hi, this is Vivian Vande Velde. Welcome to my house. I am going to be reading you the entire text, one day at a time, of Ghost of a Hanged Man. This is an old book of mine that was published by Marshall Cavendish. It is no longer in print, which means that the only copies that are available would be from the library or from a used bookstore. So I'm going to be reading you the text in its entirety, one chapter at a time during this time of coronavirus. Um, the cover was the same, both hardcover and paperback. And here we are starting at chapter 1. There are 15 chapters. So I will be coming to your house for the next, or you'll be coming to mine, whichever way you want to look at it, for 15 days. Chapter 1, Jake Barnett. Summer 1877. Pa said we were too young to go to the hanging. That was fine with me. I didn't want to watch a man die, even if that man was Jake Barnett, famous outlaw who'd killed 16 people. He was also accused of 3 train robberies and about 24 bank holdups, not to mention cattle rustling and horse thieving. But Judge Wade said it was a waste of time to have any more trials, seeing as how Jake admitted he was guilty, and the state could only hang him once anyway. My sister Annabelle, who's 3 years younger than me, was the one who was disappointed. "Aw, come on, Pa," she wheedled. "Elijah Quinn's whole family is going, and all 3 of his sisters are younger than me." Annabelle had been 2 and sound asleep the night Mama died. Jake Barnett's hanging was something else entirely, but I figured if I lived to be 100, I never wanted to see anybody die ever again. Pa looked at Annabelle over the tops of his glasses. We were the only ones in the office, or he wouldn't have been wearing them, because he said people wouldn't trust a sheriff who needed glasses, even if he only needed them for reading. I said no, and that's my final word. Pa has never been one to yell, but even Annabelle could catch on that maybe she'd asked once too often, and he was beginning to get mightily annoyed with her. Still, she tried coming at it from a slightly different direction. "Well, can't you let Ben go?" she asked. "He's almost 12, and that's old enough." No doubt she was hoping that if I went, I'd share all the gory details with her. Pa looked from her to me, back to her again. I was shaking my head, but I don't think that made any difference. He said, "The first time I saw a hanging was when I was 30 during the war, and that wasn't old enough. Now run along home, both of you. I've got these papers to finish." Judging by his grim expression and the way he looked so tired, I guessed they were probably papers having to do with tomorrow's hanging. "Come on, Annie," I said, tugging on her arm before she got us saddled with extra chores for a privilege I didn't even want. Anyway, I figured our age didn't have anything to do with it. Pa didn't want us going because of what had happened at the trial. Miss Hawks, the schoolteacher, had decided it would be a good idea for all of us to go to the trial. "See our government in action," was the way she put it, though I reckoned she was mostly curious, just like everybody else, on account of Jake Barnett being so famous. Anyway, the trial went pretty fast, seeing as how everybody knew he was guilty, and the only surprise came at the end. After the jury proclaimed Jake guilty, and after Judge Wade said he was to be hanged by the neck until dead, Jake stood up and asked if he could say something to the courtroom. Judge Wade frowned. He said, "You've been given more than enough chances to speak out, and you chose to sit there smirking instead." But Judge Wade was a fair man, and so he relented. "All right, have your say, but make it quick." "Oh, it'll be quick," Jake promised. Still, he turned around to look at the members of the jury and the spectators. Then he turned back to the judge. "You may kill me," he said, "but if you do, I'll come back, and I'll take you with me." And a moment of stunned silence that followed. He seemed to have all the time in the world to turn around yet again. "And you," he said, pointing to Pa, who'd been the one to arrest him. "And you," he pointed to Mr. Chetwynd, who'd been the foreman of the jury and who'd been the one to announce the jury's decision. And Judge Wade was banging his gavel like crazy. The crowd was all talking at once, and Emmett Sanders, Pa's deputy, grabbed hold of Jake's arm. "And you," Jake told him, not shouting, not threatening, just soft and serious. "And all your families, too." That, I figured, was the real reason Pa didn't want us going to the hanging. Tune in tomorrow to hear chapter 2 of Ghost of a Hanged Man.